In this video, you're going to learn how you can travel full-time and how you can make money along the way. Hello, my name is Sarah and I myself have traveled for the last 4 years around Europe, lived in 6 different states and in America and traveled others, been to Egypt, been all around in the last 4 years, and I have managed to earn money in the process and have somewhere to live and be able to afford flights. Something that I did not think was possible about 5 years ago. I was in your position right now, Googling and watching videos on how the heck do people manage to travel full-time, not even full-time, how do they even manage to travel for a month, 2 months period at a time. So I'm here to explain all that to you while sharing my personal experience and story and what I done throughout the last 4 years. So the first thing that I done traveling was I went to Greece and I went on a work away program. So this, I believe, was called Sunkiss or work abroad program, where you in the summertime can go and work in like a busy location. So usually they're party holidays, for example, like the Greek islands, Zante, Ibiza, Tenerife. There's a couple of other options. I went to Zante because I'd been there on a holiday the year previous with my friends and I loved it. So I decided with one of my friends who I actually met through doing a contest, Miss Bikini Ireland, funny story, we went away together. And when we got there, we had paid for the package. So I believe the package that we purchased was about €500, and what that included was our first month of accommodation, a holiday, like a rep who was going to help us find jobs and get us settled in, and that also included some discounts as well. So when we got there, I was placed in a room with a roommate and in an apartment with 6 people. So I was sharing a room with my friends, and then there was a couple of other people in there as well. So it was actually a lot of fun because there was 30 people all together in this group who were all looking to work, and we were all like in the container of being there for a month. So it was fun. I always had people to do things with. However, with the jobs that they had to offer, I thought were going to be like bartending or waitressing, but what really it was like shots girl or promoter, and these were the kind of jobs that were like still available for people, especially who didn't have experience previously working in a restaurant or in a bar. So I was honestly not too interested in those jobs, and the pay was quite low. I believe it was €25 a day, which is a lot of money, I guess, for over there in comparison to how cheap the cost of living is. Like meals out or like a couple of euro. You can get like, I remember like 2 cocktails, 2 shots in some places for €5. So consider the cost of living is low. So if you did want to just go out there and keep afloat, that is definitely an option for you. I worked on a boat party there for 2 days and I'd done it, and honestly to get the boat party for free, because it would have been like €56 to go on. I worked on it for 2 hours and I could enjoy the rest of it for free. So I had a good time. Next thing then that I done is I came back to Ireland. I went away with my family for a pre-booked holiday for a week, and then me and my friend Neve decided, let's go again. We have a little bit of money left in our bank accounts, maybe like 2,000 or probably less, and we decided to go to Greece. Go to Germany. So we went to Germany. We were there for 2 days and we just weren't really feeling the vibe there. So we then went to went to the airport. There was a flight in 2 hours, so we went to Spain. And Spain was funny because we ended up, I was quickly booking like an Airbnb for like a month, really quick and cheap online, not realising where exactly I was booking it. So when we flew into Alicante in Spain, which is like this obviously popular tourist place, realising that the accommodation that I booked is actually inland, like 2-3 hours. Whoops. So we actually couch surfed on this app with this guy called Philippe. So if you've heard of couch surfing before, couch surfing is actually a free way to travel. It's pretty amazing. I don't know if you watch a TV show. There is a TV show on it. I know a lot of people don't watch TV as much anymore, but couchsurfing is like, just Google it, there's an app and you basically can stay in someone's house free of charge. They just open up their house, usually it's for 1 or 2 nights only, and when you stay in their house, usually in the morning time when they wake up or when they go to work, etc., usually you will leave the house as well. Like, you're not just like chilling around the house the whole time, but usually they do take you in. People who are traveling by, they let you stay for a day. Philippe was really cool. The guy who we had, he took us around in his car with like the roof off and gave us like a whole tour of the place. he also, the stores were closed on a Sunday there, so he also had like lots of snacks and lots of food for us. I believe he had like prosciutto and cheese and crackers. It's a little awkward because I don't eat that, but yeah, he was really nice. So that's one way of doing it. And then what we done is we decided the next day to go to our accommodation. So we had to get this bus inland. It was a big ordeal. The bus didn't come, but we found this guy from California who was actually, weirdly enough, going to this small village too, where his like grandma lives or something. So the town was called Costantina. It's like a really small place in like it well, I wouldn't say it's so small, but it's a really old fashioned village in Spain. If I have a picture, I'll put it up here for you. It was so interesting because there was some festival on when I was there between like the Catholics and the Moors, so it was like some town celebration. Anyway, went there. Me and my friend are like the two only people I think who are not from that town who just rock into this town with this other guy who's like already been living in this town for a period of time. So at least we had one person who speaks English, because spoke English, no one else did. And not only did people not speak English, they didn't speak Spanish either. They spoke Catalonian or Arabic. There's a lot of people who spoke Arabic there as well, so that was so interesting. But anyway, what we done there is we rented an Airbnb. So the Airbnb was €200 each for the month, so 400 in total for an Airbnb in a remote location. And think about it, the cost of living in a remote location is a lot cheaper as well, and traveling slow. So if you travel somewhere for a week, usually it's going to be a higher price, but if you travel somewhere for a month, usually you can get a better deal on the price. So we got a very good deal, and in that month the food was so cheap. Like the restaurants and everything were literally like €4 for like a meal, everything. So the cost of living was so cheap. I remember vodka, like I was like 21 of course, so I was drinking a lot of vodka. Vodka was like €4 for a cheap bottle, so we were drinking that and filling up the big gallon water bottle, liter of that and juice, and then bringing that with us on a hike. Made some friends, and we were walking up a mountain, like smoked shisha and stuff together. It was like really interesting, crazy experience, hanging out with people when we didn't even speak the same language. That was interesting. But anyway, yeah, so I don't know if I'd like fully recommend going that route into the middle of nowhere. But it is cheaper to rent somewhere for a month rather than a week, and going inland away from the tourist location is usually a lot cheaper as well. We also found public buses to get to Benidorm, which is like a place in Spain where there's more like parties going on there. So we spent like one day traveling, getting like 3 buses, which are like €2 each to get there, just because we really were on a strict budget. We also really didn't eat out. We just ate pasta, and most of the time we were buying chicken, but then we kind of were on more of a budget, so we were just eating pasta, potatoes, popcorn, bread and Nutella for a snack. That was it. That was our diet. So then after Spain we actually went to London, and then we decided that okay, let's try and get a job here, and because I had previously worked in gyms before, so I started applying for them. And then I was like, you know what, we only have like a couple of hundred left in our bank accounts. I don't really fancy being homeless right now in the process. Let's just go home, save up, we can always try again. So went home to Ireland, went on a little shopping spree I think before I went home, came home with €7. And so I was ready to go out again, travel mindset, all the things that I'd been told about, you need to have a lot of money to travel, and traveling is scary, and this big bad world has obviously just proved that it was all wrong. However, I did come back home with no money except for €7. So what I'd done is I decided, well, I don't want to go back into my regular job, which was in personal training, because if I stay in that, I'm going to feel obligated to stay there for a long period of time. So let me think of some quick jobs where maybe I can work 2 jobs simultaneously to earn a big volume of money, so I can have a savings account to then move to the next country. So I decided to start applying for jobs, and my goal was to build up 5,000 so then I could go and move to Australia with my friend Neve as well. So when I was applying for jobs in Ireland, it just so happened that one of the jobs I applied for was a recruiting agency from Florida in Dublin, and they were looking for people in hospitality. So they actually called me and asked me if I wanted a job there, wanted the interview, and I did actually get hired. Actually ended up working as fitness staff there, which was so interesting. So This was in, I believe around August, and the start date was literally to go and fly in October. So in those 2 months, I decided to just go back to a previous job that I had worked before, which was in city sightseeing, so working as like a rep on the streets in Dublin with handing out like leaflets, flyers, helping people get onto the bus, kind of like a sales service job. So I had a little bit of money to get me on my feet. I think I had like maybe 1,000, 2,000 to get me to America. Now, and this company that I went for is the H2B visa. So I didn't actually have to pay for my flights, or I didn't have to pay really any upfront costs at all, because this visa actually takes full care of it. The employer who sponsors you actually pays for your flights, and they get you over there safely. Your transport to and from work is sorted. They have somewhere for you to stay, and then that just your fees for transport and accommodation just come out of your paycheck. So it was perfect for me. I literally thought, oh my gosh, is this like fake at first? Really. So because of that, I actually make a lot of content on that visa. So if you want to access that, it's the channel H2B visa. So you'll see that up here. I'll leave a picture of a video here, and I'll leave a link below this video if you are interested to maybe do that visa. That's what I spent 3 years on, that visa. So I first started off living in Florida, then I moved to Arizona. I lived in 2 places there, Flagstaff, and then I moved to Phoenix, and then I moved to Michigan, and then I moved back to Florida, and then I moved to Philadelphia, and then I traveled in between that time as well. So this visa is a temporary non-agricultural visa for unskilled workers. So usually the period that you can work on this visa is for 8 months. However, you can extend your visa while you're over there. Once one contract ends, simultaneously you can go to another contract and then go back and forth. So I stayed there for a period of 3 years, going back and forth between jobs. So the whole time I was getting paid, and I was also getting to see a new state each time. Some people, when they go on this visa, they choose to stay in Florida in the winter time, and then go to New York in a club in the summertime, and then go back to the same club again in Florida, back to the same club in New York. However, I wanted to do it a little bit differently. My main goal was travel, to see new places, so I myself went to a different place each time so I could travel in between. And it was actually really cool because some of the places had access to a lot of like buses or cheap flights to get to. Some flights were not so cheap, but somewhere to get to neighbouring states as well. So we got to travel a lot that way while still having the security of having somewhere to live, also having a group of people, because this visa hires a group of people from your country, from other countries as well. So you're like living literally with a group of people. So that's pretty cool as well, because you always have someone to do something with on your off day, and you build like really cool friendships as well out of that. Now also another way I done travel was staying in hostels. So even when I was in America on this visa, when I had some time off, I would go with a friend to a hostel, and then that's obviously really cheap. You can stay there for like 20, 30, 40 euro, let's say, and then we would travel cheap. So if we had money, obviously we'd go out for like dinners and stuff. If we didn't, we'd just buy like street food and then go on like the hostel bar crawl or whatever. So you could do a whole trip literally in like 100, or instead, if I wanted to go with a friend on a road trip, we can literally drive somewhere. We can stay in a motel, which I've done before as well. So it all just depends on what's important to you in travel. Like for me, what's important to me is seeing, experiencing places, being on the vibe, and meeting the people, just seeing what's going on. And for some other people it might be like food. So if food is your thing, maybe you can make the travel expenses even like cheaper, and then save more money for the food. So whatever's your thing, just like prioritize that, and then try to make the rest of it like cheap as possible. So after America, I came home to Ireland, and then I also went to Egypt, because I had saved up some money by being on this visa for a couple of years. So I had like a good bit of money to spare, so I went to Egypt, enjoyed a trip there, got to do that trip nicely, and then came home. And then I went to London, brought my sister there, wanted to treat her with my friend and her sister. And then I came home again, and then I've been spending 1 month in Ireland and 1 month in America for like the last 8 months, I believe now. So what I do is, when I'm in Ireland, I work my ass off basically for a month to 6 weeks. So I currently I start working in a coaching business. So I work online coaching, and then I also take in income from working in a bar, and that's why I'm in my all black bar uniform today. This is not just what I decide to wear every day. This is my bar uniform, I just came from there. So working in a bar, one that gets tips, even better, to build up some fast money. And then yeah, I'm doing a couple of other things online as well, just that are fun, interests and passionate interests that I'm sure will make money in the future, but as for now, they're my two main sources of income. And then I take, when I go away, I obviously am not bringing in income for about a month, unless I'm bringing in like a couple of coaching clients or whatever. So I have to make sure that I'm earning enough in that time to survive, and then I come back and I work again. So there's so many different ways to do it. There's so many different ways to travel. Either you can go through a company who has it all sorted out, who's going to give you a job. You can go on at the visa like I did, the H2B visa. Have somewhere to stay, have your flights paid for, have a job. You can decide to stay in your country, work for a period of time, build up a volume of money, and then travel cheaply, even going from hostel to hostel. You can work 3 jobs and then build up like enough money and then go off to Australia and have a job there. You can literally do it like any way. There's so many different ways to do it. The main thing that I think stops us is a fear that we cannot do it because we have not done it before. But just because we have not done something before does not mean that we cannot do it in the future. And it's just because we may not know people who have already done it before. So I'm here to share my story so you know that it is possible. I've done it and it is possible for you as well. It's just finding out which kind of mode of travel do you want to do first, and then make a plan. Like decide how much money you need to have, when you want to go, anything else that you need to have sorted, and start ticking off those goals and just go do it. Honestly, just start. Like you can start today by making a list of how much money you need, by applying for another job, side job if you need, and just setting a date, book it. Like literally just book it, why not? Excuse me. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. Hope the tips are helpful. If they were, do feel free to subscribe. On this channel, I do share tips about mindset, just sharing life thoughts, tips about travel, and much more. So do feel free to subscribe if you are interested in any of that. And see you in the next one. Bye now.